This is at not holding on to what was.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 with hashtag BelieveNation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 to 9. For my top 10, top 10, top 10, 9 to 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because chances are you are the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Oprah Winfrey, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Learn from every mistake.
It doesn't matter how far you might rise. At some point, you are bound to stumble, because if you're constantly doing what we do, raising the bar, if you are constantly pushing yourself higher, higher, the law of averages, not to mention the myth of Icarus, predicts that you will at some point fall. And when you do, I want you to know this, remember this, there is no such thing as failure. Failure is just life trying to move us in another direction. Now, when you're down there in the hole, it looks like failure. So this past year, I had to spoon feed those words to myself. And when you're down in the hole, when that moment comes, it's really okay to feel bad for a little while. Give yourself time to mourn what you think you may have lost. But then, here's the key. Learn from every mistake, because every experience, encounter, and particularly your mistakes are there to teach you and force you into being more of who you are.
Rule number 2, assess from people's behavior.
The greatest lesson I've learned throughout my career came from Maya Angelou, actually, when I was, first meeting her. And after I'd known her for a while, she said, baby, you need to know that when people show you who they are, you believe them the first time. Oh, you know that lesson too now. First time. And your problem is it takes you 29 times to see the same lesson coming in a different skirt or wearing a different pair of pants. So I think that has been one of my greatest wisdom teachings, is to assess from people's behavior, their actions, not just towards me, but towards other people, who they are and how they behave, because if people talk about other people, they'll talk about you. So I think in business and in personal relationships, that's also been my greatest lesson.
Rule number 3, find your purpose.
The challenge of life, I have found, is to build a resume that doesn't simply tell a story about what you want to be, but it's a story about who you want to be. It's a resume that doesn't just tell a story about what you want to accomplish, but why. A story that's not just a collection of titles and positions, but a story that's really about your purpose. Because when you inevitably stumble and find yourself stuck in a hole, that is the story that will get you out. What is your true calling? What is your dharma? What is your purpose?
Rule number 4, do what you love.
The way to make movies is to do stuff that you love, because, for 25 years, I worked on The Oprah Show, and Stedman will tell you that there were nights that I came home and I almost, it was hard to even take off my clothes, because I knew I was going to be getting up 4 hours later. But I never really felt exhausted. I felt exhausted, but I never felt depleted. So do the work that comes straight from the soul of you, from your background, from stories that you've grown up with, from stories that bring you passion, from stories that you not just yearn to tell, but that if you don't tell them, they won't get told. And when you are operating, the single greatest wisdom I think I've ever received, other than when people show you who they are, is that the key to fulfillment, success, happiness, contentment in life is when you align your personality with what your soul actually came to do. I believe everybody has a soul and has, their own personal spiritual energy. So when you can use your personality to serve whatever that thing is, you can't help but be successful. So if you do films that come from the interior of your soul, you do work, you do art that comes from the interior of you, you cannot miss. It's only when you're doing stuff that you think might make money, you think it may be a hit, or you think it may bring you some level of attention or success. That isn't what does it. I would have to say that all of the great, wonderful experiences of my life that have brought me to this moment have come from working from the interior of myself. And so that's why it feels so authentic, because it actually is. So when you do that, you'll win.
Also, if you want to build more confidence, the science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action to successfully build a habit. So I've created a free program for you where every day for 254 days, I will send you an unlisted video to your email, absolutely free, to help you build your confidence. The link to join is in the description below.
Your number one job is to become more of yourself. Your life journey is about learning to become more of who you are and fulfilling the highest, truest expression of yourself as a human being. It was very difficult for me to figure out where my boundaries were because I'd grown up poor and didn't have anything.
Rule number 5, live in the present moment.
There comes a point, and I'm really good at this, is at not holding on to what was and being able to live in this present moment. I never was one of those women who's afraid to tell your age, or you're trying to be something you're not. I think for everything, there's a time and a season. The Bible is completely right about that. I think, and in your own self when it's time to move from that.
Rule number 6, have a relentless determination.
My television career began unexpectedly. As you heard this morning, I was in the Miss Fire Prevention contest. That was when I was 16 years old in Nashville, Tennessee, and you had the requirement of having to have red hair in order to win, up until the year that I entered. So they were doing the question and answer period, because I knew I wasn't going to win in the swimsuit competition. So during the question and answer period, the question came, "Why, young lady, what would you like to be when you grow up?" And by the time they got to me, all the good answers were gone. So I had seen Barbara Walters on the Today Show that morning. So I answered, "I would like to be a journalist. I would like to tell other people's stories in a way that makes a difference in their lives and the world." And as those words were coming out of my mouth, I went, "Whoa, this is pretty good. I would like to be a journalist. I want to make a difference." Well, I was on television by the time I was 19 years old. And in 1986, I launched my own television show with a relentless determination to succeed. At first, I was nervous about the competition, and then I became my own competition, raising the bar every year, pushing myself as hard as I knew. Sound familiar to anybody here? Eventually, we did make it to the top, and we stayed there for 25 years. The Oprah Winfrey Show was #1 in our time slot for 21 years, and I have to tell you, I became pretty comfortable with that level of success.
Rule number 7, make a choice.
We have to make the choice every single day to channel our own inner Jacindas, to exemplify the truth and the respect and the grace that we actually wish for the world. We need to tell it, as we're doing at this conference. We need to write it. We need to sing it. We need to proclaim it. We need to be it. We need to be the truth. We have to be the respect. We have to be the fierceness, the love that we want to see. And when we do that, mark my words, a change is already coming.
Rule number 8, be grateful.
I wake up in the morning.
What you do?
And the first thing I say is thank you. Yes. That's my first thing. Even before I'm awake, even before my eyes are really fully open, I say thank you. I can feel the gratitude, like, ooh, I'm still here. I'm in a body. Thank you so much. I thank you for that.
Gratitude.
And then I go through the letting the dogs out, the whole, brushing your teeth and all that stuff. And then I have either silence or prayer or something that acknowledges that I'm still here. I do not reach for that phone first. That's your problem.
That's my problem.
That's your problem.
Rule number 9, be compassionate.
You have no idea of the power of noticing another human being and what it feels like when somebody knows that they have been seen, truly seen by you. It is the greatest offering you can give. And all those years of the Oprah show, the greatest lesson I learned was that, after every show, someone would say invariably in one way or another, how was that? I'd finish an interview with the father who killed his twin daughters. I'd finish an interview with a politician, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, George Bush, Beyonce. They all say the same thing. How was that? And so I started to see that there's this common thread in our humanity where everybody wants to know, how was that? Did I do okay? Did you hear me? And did what I say mean something to you? So I would have to say that recognizing that in other people has helped me to become, a person of compassion, a person of understanding, a person who can interview anybody about anything, because I know that the core of you is the same as the core of me. You just want to be heard.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is tell great stories.
Okay, let me ask all this. Have you ever made a complete fool of yourself over a celebrity? I have. I've never shared this story with you, but today I feel I have to let it out. It was 1973 or 4. I was 19 or 20. I can't quite remember. But I was working in Nashville, and I had this obsession. I mean, obsession with Neil Diamond. Now, I would wake up in the morning playing Song Blue, everybody. And I would go to bed to Cracklin' Rosie, which is not an easy thing to do in high school because I could have lost my Negro.